Linda, dental hygienist, Connor at the library, and then Katie and Jackson.
The problem with a hygienist is you really can't talk to her.
I know. It was an hour and a half of different things, so there was moments of being able to chat, but yeah, then there was a lot of I had the bite block and everything. It's a little, it's not painful unless it's a certain bite. It's not even painful. It's just that irritation. But
no, for me it's painful.
I helped Jake and Bobby yesterday move some stuff to their storage unit, and
Jack's still sore.
Yeah, Jack might have had some slipping of his back, or at least back spasms as we did something. But I had the numbness was still very fresh because I went directly from that to there. So it was by the end I was like, I need some ibuprofen. My mouth is irritating me. And
Before we switch over to Mike,
yes.
I've been out ice fishing, and I think the last 2 or 3 times out, I don't know how many encounters I've had talking to people, and they're like, hey, you live in Howard City? Hey, are you looking for a church, by the way? And this conversation, some already got churches, some are like, I'm fine. That's great. It just came up, and so
I had a good conversation at the eye doctor's, and the gal lives over in Newaygo, and she's looking for a church, and she had mentioned going to several in that area, and a couple of them I knew of that were good churches. So she was wearing a cross necklace, and I mentioned it to her, and I said, "Are you a believer?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "I am too." So, so we had a good conversation.
they're all around if you just pay attention.
Yep.
The opportunities.
The old early
I've had
church
many
used to make the
conversations
Jesus
with the
fish sign to see if they were a Christian. One would do one half, the other would do the
If
other.
not, make it. Make a opportunity.
Also, I got a text early this morning from our friend Dakota, and she said today was baby day.
Oh, really?
So she was praying for speedy labor and birth, and I haven't heard from her.
Yeah, it was 14.
So, today, this morning, I think they were inducing.
Okay. Yeah, so she's full term now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, but nothing, and I don't know if I would have heard right away, so.
I know we said I didn't want to. She texted her last week. I don't want to be annoying about it, but I am curious.
Yeah.
Inducing's always fun.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are we still on 12?
No.
That's an ongoing joke for about a month, huh?
I want to go back to the ground after tonight.
13,
Go back to the beginning. I just need to start at 12:1.
13, 1 through 7.
Remind us why we're at 13.
Because chapter 12 ends with, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good."
So we did have to go to 12.
Recap.
That's it.
We're good. Going on.
Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, whoever rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. For rulers hold no terror to those who do right, but to those who do wrong. Do you want to be free from the fear of the one in authority? Then do what is right, and you will be commended. For the one in authority is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid. For rulers do not bear the sword for no reason. They are God's servants, agents of wrath to bring punishment to the wrongdoer. Therefore, it is necessary to submit to the authorities, not only because of possible punishment, but also as a matter of conscience. This is also why you pay taxes, for the authorities are God's servants who give their full time to governing. Give to everyone what you owe them. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. So, I will start out by saying I do not like those verses.
Authority?
Yeah, well, it goes with my sermon Sunday.
Human nature.
So, be subject. It literally means to subordinate or to obey. I'm just going to throw some introductory stuff in here because I really struggled trying to find a way to not do what this said.
When
And
you mean having a good attitude to it about what this is. that's
and
my
I
problem.
couldn't make it say what I wanted it to say.
Just make a new translation.
Yep. So, the rulers are to rule for the public good.
Yep.
Verses 3 to 4. Rulers' primary role is to punish evildoers and to reward doers of good. Again, 3 to 4. Authority is from God, verse 1. But in, let's see. My notes are all over the place on this.
I can see that.
Every, let's see. Well, then I got a bunch of stuff that I want to hit, but, the believer's relationship to government in Paul's time was a dictatorship. It was, there was a rule of law, but it could be bent and even broken by the rulers, whether it be local rulers or, of course, Caesar was the ultimate authority. So, what do you think? We can go through this and tear it apart verse by verse, but in general, what it's saying is we as believers don't have a lot of choices. We have to obey.
Where I struggle, Mike, is when I consider the authority that he was referring to being Nero. You know, as much as we may complain about our government or any other government, it pales to what they were facing in terms of governing authorities.
Well, he got his head chopped off talking about Jesus.
Yeah, by Nero.
At least-
the one
Yeah.
he said, here,
Yeah.
you submit to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know that for sure, but that's the tradition that's been handed down. And Peter was crucified upside down by the same guy, we think at the same time.
Yeah,
So-
and used as torches to light the city streets.
So he's saying to obey, again, he's writing, now, again, he wasn't dead yet, his head was still attached when he wrote this, but he had went through being jailed and stoned and beaten
By authorities.
by authorities.
Even
in
though he was a Roman
towns-
citizen.
All in town, well, we'll hit that later,
Yeah.
but,
What would a person, I mean, we see the news with Iran, and you feel sorry for the common people who have had a terrible leader, and they are trying to, I think they started out peacefully protesting, and we know there are Christians in Iran. They might have to be in hiding, or, you know, their faith.
they're meeting
would-
secretly.
Yeah, meeting secretly. And to read this would almost sound like they couldn't overthrow the current government. I mean, that would be hard.
Right.
I tried to make this not say that, but it's what it says.
Think about
The people who are, now, if they're not believers, this doesn't speak to them, right? We can't judge those that are outside. 2 Corinthians, we're called to judge the people inside, but not outside. So,
I even think of like with America, like in our tradition, Wesley being for England, writing to Francis Asbury, like, hey, should like pretty much saying don't secede, and somehow that letter mysteriously disappeared.
Yeah.
And-
Wesley was not in favor of the American Revolution. at all.
No, but then you had many of the
Yeah.
Methodists.
Right.
And yet he
Groups.
survived even though he was for the king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right, Mike.
It's a
It's a
wrestling.
tough one.
I'm just glad we're not in that position right now over there.
In Iran.
Nope. Yeah, Iran.
Yeah.
Well, we just saw the movie I Was a Stranger, and oh my word.
What's that about?
Yeah, it was about refugees escaping Syria under Assad. The horrible way that their own government was treating
Mm-hmm.
the atrocities that were being done. This by the government.
But you're supposed to obey them according to
Yeah, how do you
word in this?
obey? How do you obey that kind of government? You know, what do you do in these situations where it's the authorities themselves that are evil?
So what do we do then with like Old Testament example?
Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar.
Daniel or Elijah, Jezebel.
Yeah.
Well, Elijah fled and God provided for him.
But yeah, but it wasn't doing what Jezebel and
Yeah.
whatever the corrupt king was as well. We hear Jezebel never really king as much.
Well, my next set of scribbly notes, so we have examples, very specific examples. Acts 5:24 is the New Testament example where Peter and John are told by the Sanhedrin, which were the rulers in Jerusalem
Don't
and
preach.
Judea,
Don't
to
speak
not
Jesus'
preach.
name.
There are exceptions. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, whose Hebrew names I used to know but can't remember anymore, defied the king.
Daniel did.
Daniel did, but it was about spiritual things. It was not about secular things. So there is, if you're told not to pray, if you're told not to worship, if you're told not to talk about Jesus, then the scriptural example seems to be we should obey God rather than man. But and that's not what I'm struggling with. So you've got
Are you struggling with a speed limit or?
well, no. You know, the Iranian thing. What's going on in Nigeria specifically, but other parts of Africa.
Myanmar.
You've got Hitler and Bonhoeffer. For those of you that don't know, there was a Lutheran, I guess they're priests, are they priests? I don't
Pastor.
know, Lutheran pastors, who defied Hitler.
The German Lutherans were like the church.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's the national church.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the European thing, just like the Anglicans are in Britain. So, but he defied and got thrown in jail and killed just before the war, days before the war ended, for
I mean,
defying Hitler.
There was resistance in all the countries. I mean, they weren't necessarily Christian, but there was resistance in France and Poland, Germany. There were all kinds of people working
And he,
either to get people out or,
I can't remember exactly like his, like if he was or was not, but did he like actively participate in the plot to assassinate Hitler
There's
too?
debate
Or is
on
that
that.
debated?
Yeah,
It's
that's not
it's a
proven.
rumor. I don't
Yeah.
know if
Yeah.
it's been documented,
Yeah,
but
I
I know
couldn't-
it's certainly been talked about a lot.
and he might have known about it even if he wasn't participating.
Right.
But that would definitely go against what we just read.
Well,
Well, that's the
okay,
question, right?
Well, and that's, you
in,
know.
in First Timothy, the same author, Paul, is giving instructions, and he says, I urge then first of all that requests, prayers, intercession, and thanksgiving may be made for everyone, for kings and all those in authority, that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. Now, I doubt that any one of us would have a problem praying for an evil person. And the kings and the authorities and stuff. But part of it is that we may live peaceful and quiet lives when we are praying for those in authority over us. It says, this is good and pleases God our Savior, who wants all men, even those evil dictators, to be saved and to come to the knowledge of the truth. So,
That's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
but this one's easier to swallow, I think, than Romans 13.
Yes.
Again, it's the spiritual realm
Versus.
as opposed, you know, we, not necessarily we, but people like to talk about justice being done in a specific situation. And,
Like drop a bomb and be done.
no,
with the
but,
government.
but, yeah, kill them all, let God sort them out. No, but, and that's where I think the stickler is, for me, is governments are not functioning in a just way. And it's not just my problem, it's a lot of other people's problem. But again, this text doesn't tell us to rebel against injustice. As believers.
Do we
Now-
speak to it?
Hmm?
Do we speak to it? No.
Well,
We
I'm,
can take a stand against it.
but then, okay, which Bonhoeffer did,
Right. Yeah, he
are you
definitely
willing to
spoke.
pay the price?
Well, and that's it. There,
I think-
there would be consequences, whether it's going to jail or being beaten or
But, yeah.
your life.
So you speak to it. Are you willing to die for it? An injustice.
And I
Right
think
now,
that's what
yeah.
the believers here
Yeah.
at Paul's time were experiencing too.
I mean, isn't that what he's saying? Like, even if you want to stand up against it, you are still you still need to abide by the law of the land. And so if by standing up against it means you get decapitated, well, then that's the choice that, I mean, by
Yeah.
following the law and those that govern, you're stepping into that pool.
There's a commentary here talking about the connection between 12 and 13, Romans 12 and 13, of the Christian not to seek personal vengeance.
Right.
It does not take away the government's authority to punish wrongdoers. Because he says this is says we should be subject to the governing authorities. This was in contrast to groups of zealous Jews in that day who had recognized no king but God and paid taxes to no one but God.
Yeah.
He had Jesus saying, "Give Caesar what is Caesar and God what is God's."
Just to remember which one that was.
And
If you look in the Old Testament, the prophets, many lost their life because they spoke to
Against.
authority in very strong terms, calling them to the higher authority, which was God. I don't know that any of the prophets advocated rebellion or disobeying moral law.
Not that I can
But they did speak boldly to the
Injustice.
immorality and injustice of the leaders.
Well, the Wesleyan roots started basically over the slavery issue.
Wesley was a strong advocate for abolition. Yeah.
At the time, and I'm sure there was, but like, do you think there was that conversation of like, was this a spiritual issue or a secular issue? Slavery.
And sometimes it's both. I mean, it gets
Yeah,
political
yeah.
and yet it's human.
So
Same
I'm,
thing
so
with
I'm wondering if
abortion.
Romans 13 got brought up like, hey, be subject kind of thing, but then it's
Well,
like,
it's interesting, Wesley himself,
Mhm.
okay, he was against the American Revolution because of Romans
Right.
13. But that didn't keep him from being a very strong local advocate for releasing the slave.
and that started with a very Christian root of Wilberforce.
Yes.
Wilberforce,
Yes. Very
And
supportive.
even the Moravians, like even missionaries
Yeah.
going to slave islands and advocating and bringing the gospel and showing like, hey, like the Lord is moving in these
There are
people.
social ramifications to the gospel.
Yeah.
You know, so is it spiritual or is it just
Yeah.
political? And you know, it's some of those issues are spiritual issues.
Mhm.
We're talking about children of God.
Yeah.
So you have an unjust law that's slavery. Let's just pick on that. Because I think that's universally agreed to
We
be.
can agree with
Yeah,
slavery.
On that.
That's a safe one.
Okay. So slavery's bad, but it's coded in law before Britain banned it in what?
18 before we did. 18.
Yeah, we were the
40,
second.
80.
We were the second country to ban slavery.
Wilberforce was still alive. It was right before he died.
So, 18 something, early
I think it was
1800s.
Early 1800s.
Somebody can Google it. My phone is recording. But so, is it okay?
1833.
Okay, is it okay to break the law by helping slaves escape
Underground Railroad.
Underground Railroad?
Sorry.
Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
And, because again, that was we have a Wesleyan church in Jackson that was a stop on the Underground Railroad that you can still visit, and there are caves underneath the church where they hid slaves.
Even, so actually, even just showing how long sometimes this stuff takes, it was declared illegal in 1772, and then the trade of enslaved people was banned in 1807, and then it was a law officially in all the British-held colonies in 1833.
So is it a violation of Romans 13 to be part of the Underground Railroad? Because it was against the law.
I don't know.
I'm sure Corey Ten Boom probably had to lie sometimes.
Yep, that too.
That was against the law to hide Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
I don't know what
Okay,
happened.
so
I just
is
left
it,
the door
is it a
unlocked.
violation of Romans 13?
What do we mean by subject?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if you break the law because you're doing what you think is right, you still have to abide by the consequences of the law.
Yeah.
Whoever rebels against the authorities is.
So, I mean, I think if you're going
Bring
to follow your
judgment.
heart and break that law, you just need to know that you're not going to be able to fight the law when it comes after you. So you're just.
But is that at some point isn't there a higher law?
Yeah.
Isn't that what
Alright.
Peter was saying?
My brain's
Yeah,
hurting thinking
we'll
about
obey
it.
as far as we can, but
I don't wanna be the
if
judge.
we have to disobey God,
We won't.
that's where it stops.
That's where the line is
That's
drawn.
where you draw the line.
Would he punish
Well,
me
and-
for saving this young man that's just escaped from wherever? I don't know where he escaped from, but I know he's probably wanted. Do I turn him in, or do I just Here you go. Move
Yeah,
on.
So what did Paul say? The whole law is summed up
That's the
In
next
law.
section, love.
in love, and so is this the loving thing to do? Is to turn the guy in to a slave trader who's going to beat him half to death or kill him?
No.
Not treat him as a human.
Yeah, I mean, where's love in that?
Well,
Is there a question even within like verse 3 with rulers hold no terror for those who do right? Are we just saying, is he just saying right as in accordance with the law, the governing authority, or in what is actually like,
And not everything
Right,
that's
right.
legal
yeah,
is
that's what I'm thinking.
right.
Like, there's things that are legal. It's like, because everything is permissible doesn't mean it's
Right.
allowable
Yeah.
for us.
Oh, give me an answer, somebody. Like yes, no.
I'm sure this was,
Black and white,
I'm
you
sure
know?
the Romans were also going, wait a second, wait.
Yeah.
here's the problem with that, though. Playing devil's advocate, maybe, or maybe not.
Where's it stop?
You decide that in your moral framework, it's a
Everybody's-
violation of God's law what the government's doing, therefore I can rebel against it. That changes from culture to culture. We've lived in different countries, and there's stuff that's perfectly okay here that's definitely not perfectly okay there, and vice versa. And if this is universal,
Yeah.
right? Again, I think using what I think is just and not just as your standard is a slippery slope.
It's too subjective.
It's too subjective.
Yeah. What do I think?
Yeah,
What's
plain-
my opinion?
Yeah. Plain God.
My interpretation.
I'll make this like smaller. Say like your job. Could that be like if could we? Would do you think like there'd be governing authorities? Would Paul be talking to anything of that as well? Those who are like over you in your job. And
And it's 1 Peter, submit yourselves for the Lord, 1 Peter 2:13. Submit yourselves to the Lord for the Lord's sake to every human authority.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't torn apart the Greek in this, so I'm assuming it's right.
I'm just thinking of like
Well,
if you step like hey, I'm going to do this because it's the right thing to do. Well, this goes against company policy. It's not a spiritual thing.
Oh.
well,
But because we've heard people say, my boss wants me to lie on this tax form.
Yeah.
You know, that's your decision then.
well, yeah, but it's not a governing authority.
That's what we're saying. We're talking the boss. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
would they
we don't
become? Would that be included in the umbrella?
Well, it
of,
says
like,
every
governing?
human authority. It
Yeah.
doesn't say governing.
Yeah.
It's if your boss tells you to change.
Well, but it does say whether to the emperor as supreme authority or governor, so the context is
Well, and
government.
what Mary Jo said is that's going to come up in lots of different jobs. If you're a teacher and they say you cannot talk about Jesus or whatever, and some teachers have lost their jobs because they are trying to be a good Christian in that
And that goes.
sphere.
That goes into the spiritual again.
Yeah, but I think New
I'm wondering-
Testament shows very clearly that that's worth rebelling against.
Yeah, I'm wondering if like the more like it's not spiritual, but like we know this is what we like a good like this should be done. And I was talking with
Acts
Jack
5 says
yesterday
that.
where they wouldn't deliver. So one of the things that Jake and Bobby had was Jack delivered it to them when he was working at this one job for a furniture place because they wouldn't deliver it.
Yes.
And they had all these
Because it's the
reasons
right
why. And
thing
he's
to
like,
do.
I'll just deliver myself. They're like, you can't do that.
Why not?
He's like, why not? Because it's against policy. Well, I'll deal my time. It's fine. Well, you're not insured. I'll take all responsibility. This is just the right thing to do. They've done all these things. We've been
Yeah.
going around.
Yeah.
And would that be like, well, he was then dismissive of his governing authorities. It's not a spiritual thing. This is just delivering
Yeah.
a bed frame.
Where you want me to sign? I'm taking it home. On my way home, out of the way. You don't even have to be on the clock.
Yeah.
In the context of government,
That's crazy.
The company that I either managed or owned for 32 years, we did OSHA compliance. And I had books that deep and a lot of it
That
memorized
would
at
start a
one
fire
point.
real good.
And some of the rules were just absolutely
Yes.
stupid.
Yes.
And I still had to,
Follow it.
in my
Be
consulting,
compliant,
you know, split in an extension cord that could have been easily cut and repaired and been perfectly fine. You got to throw away a $100 extension cord. Paint on a step ladder. Got to be tossed.
Like that's gonna not happen.
I'm just, that's what the governing authority, 1 Peter 2:13, said.
There's such an innate nature just to rebel against those things. I'm just like, that's dumb. Like, no, let's just, like, let's just do it. It's fine. Like, if you, and then it's like you feel like if you did that, even though
And there's a lot of laws that they don't enforce because they're either unenforceable or they're dumb. I mean, it may be illegal to be chewing gum in some states. It's
Yeah.
on the book or,
jaywalking.
yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
but
yeah.
it's funny those states
But
that have those funny rules.
If you did follow that,
Yeah.
the kind of testimony you would be giving, even if you were like a stickler for all that stuff, it's like, no, like this guy is by the books. Like, he makes sure.
Well, I-
Speaks
Could it be
larger
more
to-
about your
yeah,
attitude?
speaks larger to your character.
Multiple page reports with a lot of stupid stuff in it that I've written over the years for clients. But again, do we have the option, based on these verses we're talking about, to say, no, that's stupid, I'm not going to do that?
This is what my sidebar says. This doesn't make it scripture, but it says, this is
It's in
a,
the Bible.
It's in my Bible.
Gotcha.
it says, this is a principle, not a rigid law. Peter himself modeled one exception to this principle when the authorities, and I think that's what you're talking about in Acts
That's right.
5:29, where he said we must obey God rather than man. In similar cases, we should submit not to human authorities, but to God's word and his spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not in dispute when the government is in direct rebellion against, like the Iranian government. You can't meet as a group of Christians. We will kill you. That's wrong. Not arguing that. But we have this, that's the corporate, whole world we have this idea that this thing is just, and therefore we can rebel. And I'm not so sure we can show that by Scripture.
Are we
Even-
talking about rebellion, or are we speaking of advocating for just causes? I mean,
So would it be against Romans 13 for an Iranian Christian to be protesting right now
Yeah, there you go.
when they're saying, and it peacefully protesting, when the
Oh, yeah.
government's saying no
Exactly.
protesting.
Well, we're just we're just nicely talking, and you call it rebelling or something. I mean, where's that line?
Is
the government's
it
not
a
even saying rebellion, they're
defiant
saying-
kind
they're
of
saying
rebellion?
Is it
Don't-
okay to
there's-
firebomb a government building
Right.
in Iran right now?
Well, that makes
Yes.
that's a bigger one. I'm thinking because they're saying no protesting at all.
I'm just standing here praying, a whole bunch of us.
So
Well,
would protesting.
But if you're in Iran, that could be, it could be a
That-
problem no
that
matter
can
what.
be,
You know
yes.
what I'm
Unless
just
you're in
praying.
the
People have
mosque.
been killed and
Yeah.
arrested for that,
Yeah.
for praying in public. It's
Yep.
happened in England in the last few months.
Yeah,
Mhm.
currently over, yeah.
Even Jews just for being a Jew. They're not even obeying or disobeying any law. They're walking down a street.
Yeah.
Scary world.
It is
So-
a bad world.
Well,
I don't know.
you know, this passage has always been, particularly the end. Okay, particularly if you owe taxes, pay taxes, okay, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Revenue, respect, then respect, honor, then honor. In such a highly volatile political region we live in, it is very difficult to be respectful and show honor, unless you just close your mouth.
Well, and it doesn't say you have to honor dishonorable people or respect disrespectful people. You may still have to act polite and civil when
Well,
you're dealing with
Yeah,
people like that.
Because if honor, then honor, because I keep reminding myself of who this is written to and who was in leadership. And none of those people deserved honor or respect.
Nope.
And I think it's just a test of our motives, because I was raised in the late 60s, early 70s too, and the freedom against authority was what we rebelled for. And dang it, now we're living it, and it's not good,
Is there a difference too, so this commentary brings it up, of in a democracy, we understand that there's a sense in which we are the government and should not hesitate to help govern our democracy through our participation in the democratic process. Because this, that's probably throwing another wrench in there, but because there's different forms of government
They
with
represent
very
us.
different rules, as we're talking about Rome, oppressive, pagan, and Paul's still saying, submit, subject yourselves.
The concept, I think, for, give honor to whom honor is due, it's not the person, it's the rank.
The
And
office and
the
the
best,
position.
the best thing I can relate this to is the lowliest, freshest out of Annapolis, second lieutenant in the Marine Corps, ranks higher than the master sergeant of the Marine Corps, who's the highest enlisted man. And he will still salute that snot-nosed second lieutenant who knows nothing.
That's true.
Not because of the person,
Right.
but because of the rank. Now, the second lieutenant who treats him badly is in big, big, big trouble. But it's a rank thing.
Only because somebody's gonna hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is when there's nobody holding
Well, we
anyone accountable.
don't do that today, but that's another, I don't get
Well, and it's hard not to get political, because when you think of Vietnam, people obeyed their officers and then later on were called to task for it, and they said, we were just obeying orders.
Yeah, well, that's never, that goes back to World War II.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And the Germans.
That's hard.
That was the excuse that the Germans used in the Nuremberg trials.
They were gonna shoot him if he didn't obey. They were just gonna shoot him. So what do? Do you just shoot me because I don't want to go kill that Jew?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough
So-
spot to be in.
Where do we go with this?
I don't know if we went anywhere.
Mike, I think you
we're
were,
still
you're-
on the first
you- I think you were.
We're gonna use the whole thing under the topic.
All right, we're gonna have to move on that one.
Okay, so we obey the king because he's the king, not because he's Nero. but
Or not because
he's
he's
the
right
king.
and honorable.
Or because he's right, because of the character, that we respect who he is as a person, we respect the position he's in. And so, I think Paul is saying to us, do not be a rebellious people, law-breaking people who are criminal, who routinely disregard the law. In every way, submit you to to the authorities because
God is,
Final
because
judgment.
God has ordained government.
Yes.
Thank you.
And so do not be a troublemaker for the sake of the gospel, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Jesus said, be a
For the sake-
peacemaker, not a
But
Set
there are
example.
times where we're going to have to say, you know, I have to obey God on this one. Scripture's clear, the gospel's true, and I respectfully disobey.
Yep.
So-
And you're willing to pay the consequences.
And yeah, if Paul did,
Yeah.
he
So-
lost his head. You know,
13:1.
Bonhoeffer did. You know,
13:1.
13:1, let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been
Wanna be here for
established
another hour.
by God.
Yeah.
So if God is in charge and God let these morons be in these titles, then I think we still have to listen to them.
because we're submitting to
you know,
God.
and
Yeah, we don't know
right-
why he put those
Yeah.
morons in.
Yeah.
But you know what? As
philosophical
bad
question of,
as
like,
you know, I've been to
did God put it
Haiti.
in the
I've
Islamic State.
you know, Haiti has
God's in charge,
their entire
let
history.
it happen.
They have had bad government.
God, that's a lot of things.
There
happen.
has never
Okay.
been a
No,
good
I-
government in Haiti.
Free will.
Big butts, yeah.
But if you want to see what the difference between bad government and no government is, look at Haiti today.
Yeah.
Even bad government is better than
No government.
no government.
Chaos.
We need to wrap up, but verse 2, I think, is diving into the Greek is shed some light on this. Not a lot, because I still don't like it, but it says, therefore, he who resists authority. That word resist, it's also rebels, depending on your version. To set against, to oppose, to take a complete stand against, to strongly resist an opponent. So it's not just, I don't like you, it's to strongly resist. So,
So is it just the attitude of rebellion?
Well, that certainly is a problem.
no, it's much stronger than that.
But, yeah.
It's much stronger than
Yeah.
that.
Because a
You
kid
certainly
could
should not have
obey
a-
you,
Yeah.
but they could still be very defiant.
At the very least, it talks about a rebellious attitude.
Right,
At
attitude.
the very
So-
least.
I don't know. Okay,
Wow.
so I'm gonna call this done.
Yeah.
And if we vote and say it's done, then we're,
And,
we're on.
so we will
history lesson
pick it
there.
up at 8.
Good history lesson right there. A lot of stuff.
And,
Just kinda
and you
reminds
can
me,
wrestle
don't
with this
don't
on your
repay
own
evil
and
with evil.
decide.
It's just kinda all kind of-
I don't know.
What
I
the
don't think I
Holy
even want
Spirit
time to
says.
go
For today?
round and round in my own head
I
with it
noticed
because
that.
it was
My
round
notes
and
for
around the
today.
table and nothing got
Okay.
so.
That's the thing. I'm like, we got a lot. We said a lot. I don't know if we landed on anything.
Yeah, oh, you got a problem with authority, maybe you should talk to God.
Yeah, I don't know where the landing
Look
pad
at it,
is,
it's
so I'm not gonna land on
I
anything.
know, but are you still got this to go?
Yep.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Wow.
That is terrible.
Didn't even.
And this
I
is
just-
gonna be a bookmark size?
Could open up
Yeah.